Hi everyone, my name is Ryan. I'm an Education Officer here at Reef HQ, the National Education Centre for the Great Barrier Reef. You guys have been voting and we're going to show you the creature you've chosen to talk about today right now. Everybody ready? What do we have here? The Red-Lipped Stromb. Now the Red-Lipped Stromb is a mollusk, and that means it's related to other snails that we find on land, but it's even related to the squid that we find in water. How could something like this be related to a squid, I hear you ask? Now, mollusks all have very similar characteristics. They all have a shell, they all have a muscular foot as well. And we're going to show you a couple of these features on our Red-Lipped Stromb. You can see him starting to move around. Now, let's just turn this little Stromb around really quickly and have a look at some of these features. I did mention that the Red-Lipped Stromb, those mollusks, have a muscular foot. So if you imagine snails and even the octopus, they've all got a muscular foot which they can walk around with. And if we go right down on our micro eye, I'm just going to focus that up for you, right there, you can see the Red-Lipped Stromb's muscular foot. You can also see he's got really groovy eyes, look at that. Now the other common characteristic all mollusks have is a hard shell. So we can easily see that in the Red-Lipped Stromb. But when you think about animals like the squid and the octopus, their shell isn't very easily seen. With squid and cuttlefish, their shell is on the inside. For anybody out there that keeps a bird, you sometimes give your birds cuttlebone, and that is the shell from inside of these animals. For our marine snails, like our Red-Lipped Stromb over here, the shell is secreted. So they have a part of their body, part of their anatomy, called the mantle. And that mantle secretes the chemicals needed to create that nice shell. Now let's have a look at some really interesting characteristics of the Red-Lipped Stromb. Let's go near the eyes again. Let's start from the top of this animal. You can see its eyes right there. In between those eyes, don't know if you can make out. Now that blob is its mouth. Mollusks all have what we call a radula. Now if you imagine your tongue with a whole lot of Velcro on it, so it makes it really rough, that is essentially what the radula of these marine snails is like. What they eat is algae, so they're going around licking the rocks and licking the algae off the rocks with their radula. Let's go a bit further down. Once again, you see that muscular foot they use for crawling around, but right at the end, you can see this little hook. Now that hook is called the operculum. The operculum on snails we find on land acts as a trapdoor. For example, when that snail turns around, it doesn't want a predator to eat it. It has a trapdoor that closes the rest of its body up to keep it nice and safe. In the Red-Lipped Stromb, this operculum has been modified to become this hook. Now I'm going to zoom right out, and hopefully, as I'm talking, he's going to show you what that hook is for. That hook is for two things. Firstly, if you imagine yourself on the reef, a wave comes crashing over you and you get flipped over. That's really, really bad, because all of a sudden your soft body is really vulnerable to being attacked and eaten by predators. So what you want to do is have a hook to be able to come out and flip yourself over. That's the primary use of that hook. The secondary use of that hook is to get away from predators. Now these snails can sense their predators when they're in the water. They've got a very good sense of smell. So when they smell their predators, you'll find these snails jumping away from their predator. So those are a couple of really cool characteristics about the Red-Lipped Stromb. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments section below, and we'll get to those questions, get to answering those questions when we get a chance. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you next time.